Army extends control on the vicinity of Jazal oil field, destroying ISIS hideouts in Homs countryside. New WikiLeaks documents reveal the level of Saudi logistic and financial involvement in the war against Syria. And dozens of Yemeni civilians are killed following Saudi air raids on Taiz and Aden. Good afternoon. Syrian Arab army units have eliminated Nusra terrorists in the vicinity of Tulul al-Humar and al-Hamidiyya in Noticias countryside. In Daraa, 2 vehicles belonging to terrorists were destroyed in Kharab al-Shahm. In cooperation with the People's Defense Group, Syrian Arab army units were able to expand their control outside Jazal field in Homs countryside, eliminating a number of ISIS terrorists and destroying their weapons. An army unit has moreover intercepted an attempt by terrorists to attack 2 areas in Homs eastern suburb, destroying an armored vehicle. Terrorist hideouts and equipment were also destroyed in Qasr village in Sueda's northeastern suburb. The Syrian Air Force has meanwhile destroyed weapons and ammunition belonging to ISIS in air raids targeting the terrorist hideouts in Al-Murayya and Al-Bu Umar in Deir ez-Zor's countryside. In Hasaka, ISIS gatherings and hideouts were also destroyed near 2 villages in the city's southeastern countryside. ISIS terrorists have destroyed 2 ancient shrines in the city of Palmyra, planting explosives inside Muhammad Ali Shrine and another one with a green dome. The 2 ancient shrines are part of UNESCO's World Heritage Sites in central Syria. Pictures showed several ISIS militants carrying explosives into the shrines before they blew them up, reducing them to rubble. A lot of damage has been inflicted by the terrorists to other buildings in Palmyra since they seized control of the city last May. A campaign of arbitrary detentions was launched by the Israeli occupation last night against the people of Majd al-Shams in the occupied Syrian Golan, in retaliation for the operation carried out by a group of the village's inhabitants last Monday, which targeted Israel-supported wounded terrorists from al-Nusra front. Several people of the village were arrested, including Sheikh Joulan Abu Zid and liberated prisoner Fida al-Sha'ir. The Israeli occupation forces had earlier stormed into a number of houses in Majd al-Shams, vandalizing their furniture in a suppressive and hysterical move against the people of the village. WikiLeaks website has released new cables leaked from the Saudi Foreign Ministry revealing details about the Saudi regime's involvement in funding and masterminding the terrorist assault against Syria, shedding light on the new scandals of this regime's protégé, falsely called by the media as revolutionaries.
WikiLeaks continues to publish more documents about the involvement of Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Turkey, with the West behind them, in the terrorist war on Syria and the region to fulfill their colonialist schemes. New cables leaked from the Saudi Foreign Ministry, released on WikiLeaks website, reveal in detail the extent of the Saudi regime's involvement in funding and supporting terrorism in Syria, and disclosing new scandals about this regime's stooges falsely called by the media as revolutionaries. Those cables published by the Lebanese Al-Akhbar Daily speak of huge amounts of money paid by the Saudi regime to flare up the situation in Syria and the Saudi attempt to throw 30,000 terrorists into the war on the country to change the equation in their favor. The documents say the Saudi regime, together with the Justice and Development Party government in Turkey, in addition to Qatar, had formed a body of their senior military personnel to communicate with the terrorist militia called the Free Army and to create for them favorable environment along Syria's border areas with Lebanon, Iraq and Jordan to ensure the implementation of their plots against the country. The Saudi-Turkish coordination to support the terrorists grew further following the visit to Ankara by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Nayef in April 2015, although such coordination had already started 3 years before. The documents also show the Saudi regime's attempt to invigorate their terrorists when the latter were on the verge of collapse through providing them with big quantities of weapons and ammunition, as well as high salaries to keep them in the fight. The documents talked about the role of the neighboring countries, especially Jordan, in this regard, in urging Syrian young men at a Zaatari camp to join the terrorists inside Syria.
Welcome back. Iraqi army killed more than 90 ISIS terrorists in Al-Anbar province. Iraqi sources said that Iraqi fighter jets targeted 2 areas, killing 24 ISIS terrorists and destroying 12 hideouts which contained heavy weapons and rocket launchers. The Iraqi army also destroyed a warehouse full of explosives in the area of eastern Hasiba and killed 30 terrorists. In Yemen, Saudi warplanes killed 9 citizens and injured dozens during a series of airstrikes on the areas of Rezeh near the capital, Sana'a. Meanwhile, the death toll in the city of Sada has risen to 6 people, including 2 children and 1 woman, following Saudi airstrikes on the area. The Saudi fighter jets also targeted areas in Hajj Governorate, killing and wounding a number of civilians. In the city of Al-Hadida, west of Yemen, Saudi attacks targeted civilian buildings and public facilities in Al-Bayda Governorate, killing a number of people. In the cities of Aden and Taz, meanwhile, fierce battles raged between the Yemeni army and al-Qaeda terrorists, killing a number of gunmen. Israeli warplanes fired a missile on a Palestinian farmland and adjacent villages on the city of Beit Hanun, north of Gaza, in violation of the so-called truce following fabricated news that a Palestinian rocket was fired on the city of Akalam, north of Gaza Strip. It is to be noted that Israeli aggression continued against the Gaza Strip in violation of the truce, which was announced on August last year following the Israeli war of Gaza Strip. With this, we conclude our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region, and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our Facebook page, Syria TV channels. You may also watch the Syrian satellite channel live on YouTube. Now to latest business and market news with Serena, but after a short break.
Good afternoon. People's Assembly resumed discussing draft law that includes Domestic Trade Act and issued a number of articles concerning punishments for violating quality standards and consumer protection societies. According to the draft, manipulators in food, fodder and medical substances or agricultural products will be present for 6 months at least and will have to pay 250,000 Syrian pounds as a fine. Furthermore, consumer protection establishments will handle consumers' complaints and will cooperate with media. A workshop about transmission from the planning stage to the practical application within the Ministry of Labour was held today, sponsored by the Administrative Development Ministry. This project was launched in many ministries and it aims at creating an operational framework in order to activate the general management's reality among all ministries. The director of the Economy and Foreign Trade Department in Daraa province revealed that the granted import licenses during the past period of this year reached 120, with a total value of 2.240 Syrian pounds. The director pointed out that the Directorate is working currently to grant import licenses in order to provide the required raw materials for the national industry, clarifying that the terrorist attacks on the crossing border of Nasib have reflected negatively on granting licenses, as this border was used to attract about 80% of the trade movement. However, the Ministry of Economy and Foreign Trade has set recently conditions to grant import licenses which have been financed in foreign currencies by the Central Bank of Syria. The Central Bank of Syria has set the exchange rate of the US dollar against the Syrian pound at 276.35 for the banks and 206.37 for the exchange companies. The Central Bank has also set the exchange rate of the US dollar against the Syrian pound for the transfers at 275. The euro exchange rate against the Syrian pound was set at 311.73 for the banks and 311.75 for the exchange companies. Oil prices nudged higher in Asian trade today on hopes for stronger than expected U.S. crude demand, while doubts over the prospect of reaching an agreement next week on Iran's nuclear program eased oversupply concerns. European shares edged higher today, while Japan's Nikkei share average vaulted to the highest level since 1996, ramping up the gains to around 20% since the start of the year, thanks to signs of a pickup in economic growth. Gold slid to a one-week low today, down for a fourth consecutive session as the dollar strengthened and the global stock markets continued to rally on expectations of a Greek debt deal. The dollar hovered near its highest in over a week against a basket of major currencies today, as the market's focus shifted from Greece to prospects for higher U.S. interest rates. With this, we conclude our economic news for today. Thank you for watching and goodbye.